stop chasing. So look, we got a handheld car video today because this is raw and uncut, just a conversation from me to you, something that I think is going to save you tremendously in this market. All right, now I've said this time and time again. I've said it on lives, I said it on calls and stuff like that. Now I'm making an actual static video so that it can live on YouTube forever, so that you can, you know, come back and reference it at any point that you wish. Okay, now it is important to notice, all right, there are probably about 250 trading days within a year, and I'm going to divide that amount of time into just like tiers, right? So in one tier we have great to trade, right? In another tier we have pretty good, and then we have okay to not good conditions, right? The great to trade tier, there's not going to be many of those in there. Out of 250 days, we might see like 20 of those days, maybe 20 great to trade out of the year. We might see about maybe about 100 good to trade. Then we may see another probably like another 50 to 75 of okay days, and then I'm losing the math, but I probably got about 50 more where it's terrible to trade. All right, now understanding this is going to help you stay in the green. Okay, the name of the stock market game is one, you all know the main name is buy low, sell high, but it has another nickname, and that nickname is stay in the green, keep the bag, right? Hold the money, right? Outlast the impatient. Okay, so with that being said, with there being a small amount of very great to trade days, which is another way of saying easy days in the stock market, right? The ones that are not good to trade or harder days are the times that you have to exercise the most discipline, because there are a bunch of okay days to trade, and there are a lot of good days to trade, and then there's some great days to trade. A lot of people get addicted to the feeling, the dopamine rush of winning. All right, I need you guys to understand this. I say this purely from the heart, right? This is coming straight from the heart. All right, I want you guys to win, and it is important that you understand this. All right, the stock market is set up in a way that it wants to provide retail traders with wins, right? It wants to provide retail traders with some degree of hope. And I'm going to tell you why. All right. Once upon a time, the stock market existed without retail traders. Right? Once upon a time, the stock market existed without retail traders. Right? Retail traders were later introduced to the stock market. And when I say retail traders, y'all, I don't mean that individuals were not able to invest in the stock market. I want you to understand what I'm saying is that I guess what I should be saying is the influx of retail traders, right? So when the stock market had its inception, like, retail traders did exist, but it was a small portion of people, and they were wealthy, right? It was not the everyday person. Over time, as more banks started to open up brokerages, and technology started to make its way on the scene, that is when the influx of retail traders ensued, right? So we saw the biggest spike in 2019 and 2021 during the pandemic. All right, but there is a reason that this was allowed. Okay, now when you think about making money, right? You think about, you know, the amount of money that is exchanged across the market on a consistent basis. There was a thought that came to somebody that was like, hey, there's a lot of money circulating amongst people in general. If we can get some of that disposable income to start circulating in the stock market, and these people have like, you know, like low information, right? They don't really have the insights on you know, on how we trade and how the market is moved. That's a lot more money that we can come and just scoop up for ourselves. All right, I want you to understand that by, like, I think it was like since 2025, right? Since 2025, retail traders have accounted for $5.4 trillion, right? That is the volume at which retail traders are currently trading. That is a lot of money for banks to come scoop up, for institutions to come scoop up, as a result of them being able to manipulate the market, and also retail traders not having any sort of barriers to entry, and it being, you know, open for amateurs to just come in because of, you know, sheer excitement. All right. So what has this created? This has created an opportunity for banks and institutions, like I said, to come and just do money grabs at random times. If you cannot identify when these money grabs are taking place, then you are going to be a person who, yes, gets robbed in the market. You're not losing money. You're getting robbed, right? You're getting robbed because you are unaware. You have ignorance, and ignorance is not bliss when it comes to the stock market. All right. So as a retail trader, it's important for you to understand that there are days where you just should be completely hands off, and you have to be okay with that. They've created a gamified system so that your brain takes on the same type of dopamine hits that one would take if they were gambling, right? Investing is not gambling, but it absolutely can be if you are not well versed and well studied. Okay, it absolutely can be. So it's important to know, y'all, there's only about 3 to 4 weeks of great trading in the year. There's good trading, right? But there's only about 3 to 4 weeks of great trading. Your job is to not get robbed, so that when those days of great trading are taking place, you can multiply your money, right? There are days in the year, like I said, about 3 to 4 weeks, where there are 5 to 10 X's available, right? And we've proven that, right? There's also days where you could lose that kind of money, days where, you know, you could get caught up in a chop fest and theta can burn your premiums, right? So you need to understand what market you're in. You need to understand the signs of that market, right? When we're chopping around, when we're approaching, you know, some sort of like major financial decision like FOMC, when there's earnings coming up, right? When there's war, you know, being waged, like when there's, you know, a bunch of things going on, you have to know how to fall back, right? There's a certain way that stocks move when it is easy, and when, you know, and when it's clean to trade. And if it's not doing that, you have to be the responsible one to be like, all right, I'm not going to do it. So a person who trades every day, 250 days a week, right? Or 250 days a year, right? Could be doing well. They could even get lucky and be doing well for about 100 days, right? And they might be up 20% in their portfolio or something like that, right? Just some random number. I don't know, maybe they're up $10,000 or something like that, 20,000, who knows, right? I'm just pulling random numbers. And then they can go and trade on a bad day, but because they have been being rewarded by winning, right? And like I said get lucky, because sometimes you can win on days when it's a really difficult day. But you think that that's the norm. You think that because you won, you can just do it at any given time. What that is called luck being on your side. But what happens with luck? Luck will run out, and discipline and patience will always win out. All right. So if you're not able to be disciplined and patient, right? At some point, that winning is going to come to an end, and you're going to over leverage, and then you're going to wind up losing more money than you made, and then you're going to find yourself in a situation where you're trying to fight back. All right, it happens so consistently, and this is the one thing that makes the difference between a profitable trader and a non-profitable trader. A profitable trader knows when to say no, and actually says no more often than they say yes. A non-profitable trader will think that they're doing things right for an extended period of time, just long enough for them to develop the wrong habits, right? And get a false sense of confidence so that the market can stick them up and rob them. All right? We gotta get out of the habit of wanting to trade every day. We gotta get out of the habit of trying to inflict our will upon the market and be able to what? Stop chasing and let the beautiful setups come to us. All right? Again, I want to see y'all win. I hope this video was helpful. If you ever have any questions, I'm here to answer them, okay? Use me as much as possible. All right, hit the like button and subscribe button if this video was helpful. Also, if you are looking for a community to join, right, to help you navigate the treacherous waters of the market, the Prosperity Collective is the way. All right, we have a great time. We grow both mentally and spiritually each day. All right, if there's nothing in the market, you're still gonna get a lesson in the group. All right, the link is in the description of all of my videos. Look, remember, invest smart so you can live free, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.